Hello everyone, welcome to CaraTalks Where I talk about absolutely anything and everything. Now, today's topic is going to be knowing when to quit, or knowing when to persevere versus when to kind of give up a little bit. And I think it all comes down to how aligned you feel. MCCI have released a solo version of Sky Battles, so that's what we're playing today. But yeah, basically, I'm very much a big believer in, like, you can kind of feel when you're not aligned, so to speak. There we go. Hello! Oh my god, I was about to cry. Yeah, I am a very, very big believer that your body knows when it's time to give up. Your body knows when you should... Please? Aw, are you kidding me? Aw. And that might sound a little bit woo-woo, or like get them chakras realigned type situation, but it's true. I do genuinely believe that your body kind of knows when to give up on something. And I genuinely, and I also believe that it has a lot to do with your alignment as a person. Bruh. And I think it's very easy to kind of just stick your head down and keep going at something that you don't full-heartedly believe in anymore. And I first-hand experience this a lot. Oh my god. Wait, there's no chest here anymore? Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. I think it's time I switch to parkour. This is not... I cannot speak and do that. And I have first-hand experienced this, where I feel so, like, drained from doing the thing. So I think it's very much about what aligns with your goals in life, so to speak, or what you believe in. There is this idea in what is it? I think it was the thoughts book, the topic that I covered a little while ago. It mentioned that the natural state of the human condition was kind of like joyous, and was kind of okay, that was stupid. Was kind of joyous and was kind of like at peace, right? So whenever you're trying to force something, it's gonna feel a lot harder. Now, I don't entirely agree with that, because it kind of goes into a second topic that I wanted to discuss, but I'll do that later. But yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that 100%, but I think there is merit in the teaching that if you feel it's off, then chances are it's time to go. It's time to pick the other path. And sometimes that path looks like a leap of faith. Sometimes that path doesn't look like the conventional path, or it just doesn't make sense to most people. And that's how you know you're kind of on the right path, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's also not to say to do it recklessly either. Other than the whole, you can kind of sense when it's time to move on. I also very much believe in the idea of trying to do something you'd be doing anyway, regardless of monetary compensation, regardless of status, regardless of making someone proud. I feel like that is where to kind of look for your next step, in a way, is what would you be doing regardless? And I think it's very easy to just say, well, I'd just be watching TV. Think of it think of it in terms of if TV and the internet didn't exist, what would be your next step? Or what are the things that you cannot help but not do? For example, for me, I cannot help but create videos, and it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else, only myself. You know, it doesn't make sense to anyone why I have persevered to this thing, why I've persevered making videos for all this time, and I've made 300 quid in the span of like 12 years of doing it, you know? So like, regardless of monetary compensation, regardless of whatever status there is, I cannot help but think about YouTube. I cannot help but make videos. And if the internet didn't exist, I'd be writing poetry, you know, or I'd be doing something else that is creating videos, right? So I'd be doing photography, or I'd be doing something else in that kind of sphere. But another thing that I cannot help but do is try and help people. And that's why for the longest time I've kind of been toying with the idea of becoming a therapist. It's just an innate quality of mine. So I think the next step, if you do decide to not persevere, should be from a place of that. And I think my research into like the Ayurvedic system, or the Eastern philosophy, has been really, really interesting. So the yogic system, or I don't know the difference between the yogic system and the Hindu system. I have no clue. But basically, there is this concept of dharma, which is like your calling. And you have multiple dharmas in your multiple areas where your dharma can like come from. So for example, a doctor gets their dharma or their calling from helping people, and from, you know, and from helping people, and from like the service. So whatever amount of labor they have to go through, it feels worth it to them. It feels that they're not, you know, it feels like their sacrifice in helping people is worth it. And that there's a level of satisfaction from that. And I think I very much have found two dharmas. One is being of service to others. I get a lot of fulfillment from becoming of service to others. I also get a lot of fulfillment from creative expression and like analytics and shit like that. So yeah, like, I think if you want to look into it further, I think Healthy Gamer GG has very, very good lectures on Dharma and how to find it. So I'll leave those in the description. I've been very much contemplating recently on the idea of being kind to yourself. And this is kind of touching on a different subject, but it has some relevance with perseverance. So I very much keep a high standard to what I want out of life and what I hope to achieve in my lifetime. And I've realized ever since I took the advice of being kind to myself, my standard has dropped. You know, the standard that I keep myself to has dropped. And I don't know if that's me just taking that saying way too literally, or just not knowing the time and place to do it. And I think the concept of there is a time and there is a place is what I'm kind of working on right now. So there is a time and place to be kind to yourself, but there is also a time and place to be very strict and very stern with yourself. And that's kind of the revelation I've that's kind of the revelation I've found myself contemplating on recently. I recently went back up to my hometown, and there's there's a lot of nature in that area. So I just spent a lot of my time in nature, with like very, very low music, very calming music. And it felt so good. It felt so good. So yeah. So that's a concept that I've kind of been thinking about recently, is that there's a time and place to be kind to yourself, but I think there's also a lot of merit in being very, very critical and harsh on yourself. I think the only time you need to be kind to yourself is when it's no longer helpful, right? So if you're like just beating yourself up for no reason and, you know, having very negative self-talk that isn't helpful, then, you know, then that's not the time and place to be mean to yourself. As I was saying earlier, the concept that your natural state is very much like peace and like harmony in a way. I don't necessarily agree with that, just simply because I think there is a certain level of hardship and a certain level of just general suckiness about life. And that's just from my own experience. I think for you to progress in life and live a truly well-lived life, I think there is a certain level of hardship that you need to go through. And some that are just straight up unavoidable. And I've had my fair share of hardships. Like I relearned how to walk because I had a operation on my foot that then I had to be in a wheelchair for like 6 months. So I relearned how to walk, which was a difficult one. You know, one of my parents had a very close call with illness when I was like 16. I had my own close call when I was 16 as well, or I've got a chronic illness of Crohn's disease, apparently, that I can't diagnose. So I've had my fair share of life's challenges. And I think it's made me the person I am today. It's made me really mentally strong. And I've recently set the goal to run a marathon. And I don't know, there's something about just setting a goal that everyone just goes, what the fuck, you're crazy? There's something about that makes my brain tickle. There's something about it that makes my brain tickle, you know? And I don't know if that's like an ego thing, and I don't think it is. I think I very much enjoy the motto of like seek discomfort, and I look up to people like Michelle Khare so much, you know, for all of the crazy shit she can do. Like I kind of just want to be like that. I think that's the type of person I want to become into. And as I was saying at the start of the video on whether to give up or whether to persevere, I think it ultimately comes down to alignment and what type of person you want to become. You know, I think it's very, very easy to just stick to what you know. And I think there's a certain level of challenge that that is necessary in life to become the person that you want to become. And if you're happy with the person that you are, then that's okay, you know? If you are satisfied with the way your life is, there's no point in changing it. But if you're not satisfied with it, then, you know, you're not stuck. You're not stuck in your ways. You don't have to, stay the way you are. I currently have my own persevere or give up type thing that I've gotta contend with, and I think that's what sparked this topic of conversation, where I'm currently doing a university course that I'm not particularly invested in anymore. And I think I was very, very invested in it at the start. You know, when everything was really fresh and new, it was really, really exciting. And I did put my heart and soul into it, as I should. But now that that interest has been quenched, I'm kind of feeling a little bit lost with it. I'm kind of realizing that it's you know, it's not exactly what I want to do. It's not exactly what I want to do. And I genuinely don't know what other option I have right now. And I think I know what the right answer is, but I have a sunk cost fallacy, where I've invested so much time and money into it to the point where I don't want to quit it. But yeah, I think persevering through the sucky part, if there is an end in sight, right? I think if there's an end in sight and persevering with something you're not too thrilled with anymore, I think that, you know, that's okay. But I think if you know, you know, right? If you know, you know. And I know what needs to be done, but I think persevering for a little bit longer with it will serve me very, very well. And that's kind of my thinking of it right now. It's a very difficult decision to make because there's usually a lot at stake whenever making these decisions. And so it's not as simple as yes or no. And I think it genuinely is a thing of looking at who you want to be, what you want to do, and going in that direction. And even if you don't know who you want to be or you don't know what you want to do, I think, you know, you have some kind of inkling to what it is. You know, search deep within your soul and you'll find it. Type thing. If it's no longer helping you or healthy for you, then I think you have your answer. But if it's just because it sucks, then I think persevering a little longer before you can't take it anymore is a very valid answer to it as well. You know, I'm literally 21. And I don't know much about life. So don't take my advice as gospel. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'm done rambling.